What's up, guys? Welcome back to another class preview. This time we're going to be going over the Marksmanship Hunter spec and the Legion Alpha. Kind of seeing the overall differences between Warlords and Legion, and get an overall feel on how the spec is going to be played once Legion comes out on August 30th. So hype. Can't wait. Hopefully it comes sooner, but I know it's not. But hopefully, I do like the spec. Does really feel like a marksmanship hunter, um, but it is quite fun. But let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, we're going to go over the spell book. First spell we have is Aim Shot. This does cost 50 focus with about a 2-second cast. A powerful aim shot that deals 61,000 physical damage. Very basic, but will benefit off of a few different abilities later on. Next up, we do have Arcane Shot. So instant cast, a quick shot that does 29,000 arcane damage and generates 5 focus. This is mostly going to be our filler spell. Nice, quick, effective. Doesn't generate that much focus, but I guess we don't need it that much. Focus. We do have some talents that will affect this as well if we choose that route. Next up is Aspect of the Cheetah. It's an instant cast with a 3-minute cooldown. Now this has changed quite a bit since Warlords. This no longer just stays on you. This is a movement speed quick buff. Increases your movement speed by 90% for 3 seconds. Then increases your movement speed by 30% for an additional 9 seconds. So if you pop this, you get a huge movement speed buff, then reduces down to 30%. So not the old cheetah form, but kind of a new way to look at it. Next up, we do have Aspect of the Turtle. Now this is going to be our main defensive ability with a 3-minute cooldown, deflects all attacks, and reduces all damage you take by 30% for 8 seconds, but you cannot attack. This is a pretty cool ability. You can definitely point out the hunters in the raid, but looks like such. I do like this because it kind of fits into the aspect, no pun intended, of being a hunter. It does kind of fit in quite nice, and gives you the overall feel of like, yes, I'm playing a hunter. Yes, I'm still working with beasts, even though I chose the lone wolf talent. Next up, we have Barrage, which is a talent. Binding Shot, which is a talent. We'll go over those later. We do have Bursting Shot. Does cost 50 focus with a 25-second cooldown. Instant cast. Fires explosion of bolts at the enemy in front of you, knocking them back and disorienting them for 4 seconds and dealing 13,000 damage. Obviously, this is not a huge damage spell, but this is more of CC, not really long CC, but a good way to escape and possibly kite. We do have Call Pet, basic Call Pet. Still have Concussive Shot, 5-second cooldown, dazes the target, slowing the movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds, so you can keep one target permanently slowed. Next, Counter Shot, 24-second cooldown, interrupt, preventing them to be cast in that School of Magic for 3 seconds. Still have Disengage, leap backwards with a 20-second cooldown. And right now it does increase my movement speed by 60% for 8 seconds. That is mostly because I have a talent into that. So otherwise it would just boost you backwards. Eagle's Eye, nothing really changed here. Same old, same old. Exhilaration, since we no longer have the spirit bond between your pet and yourself, you do have this as your heal. It's a 2-minute cooldown. Instantly heals you for 50% of your max health Now this would change to 30% of your health and 100% of your pet's health if you had a pet out. Feign death. Nothing new here. 30-second cooldown. You feign death. Next up, we do have flare. Nothing new here as well. Marks the target, finding invisible enemies. Headshots, a talent we'll go over later. Now mark shot. Now this is where most of our build is going to play. At least involve through. It does cost 30 focus, instant cast, rapidly fires shots at all targets with your hunter's mark, dealing 82,000 physical damage, and marking them with Deadeye for until cancelled. Now Deadeye, the damage taken from your mark shot and aim shot is increased by 150%, lasts for 8 seconds. There are a few talents in here that do change it quite a bit. So normally mark shot would just mark them vulnerable. The damage taken by mark shot and aim shot increases by 25%, and their movement speed is reduced by 15%. This does last for 30 seconds and stacks up to 3 times, therefore making a total of 75% increased damage from aim shot and mark shot. We do have misdirect, same on misdirect. Misdirects all your threat to a target. Now we do have multi-shot. Fires several missiles, hitting your current target and all enemies within 8 yards for 17,000 physical damage. Generates 2 focus per target. So, works like so. Marking all the targets, obviously. Working off this passive, which we'll go over later. Pet utility, same old pet utility. Dismiss, feed, revive, tame, and beast lore. Now we do have true shot. Now this is our main DPS cooldown with a 2.5 minute cooldown. Increases your haste by 40% and increases your chance to apply Hunter's Mark to 100%. Lasts for 15 seconds. Pretty boring cooldown, but it does do some decent effects because it does apply Hunter's Mark with a 100% chance. Windburst is our artifact power, we'll go over later. Now starting off into the passives, we do have Bombardment. Your critical strikes with multi-shot increase your multi-shot damage by 60% for 5 seconds. So obviously we want more crit if we are in an AoE fight, but you should be able to keep most of this up at all times. Even with 3 targets, I'm keeping this up. Just because I can spam this because it is a generator now. Next up, we do have Hunter's Mark. Your Arcane Shot and Multi-Shot have a chance to apply Hunter's Mark, activating Mark Shot. So, otherwise we can't cast Mark Shot. This does hit all enemies with Hunter's Mark, making this very nice to AoE. Boom, boom, boom. Doing a bunch of damage. Next up, we do have Hunting Party as a passive. After you kill an enemy, the remaining cooldown of Exhilaration is reduced by 30 seconds. Since this already has a 2-minute cooldown, you can obviously have this up quite often. Helps out quite a bit with our questing and solo play. Lone Wolf is a passive talent, we'll talk about later. And our mastery is Sniper Training. Now it used to be Sniper Training as well, but we changed around what Sniper Training means. The range of all of your shots is increased by 10%. So you can shoot up to 44 yard ranges. And damage of all focus spending abilities increased by 41%, meaning your mark shot, your aim shot, your barrage, which is a talent, and also like headshot and stuff like that, which are talents as well. The only thing it doesn't affect is your arcane shot and multi-shot. So, moving on to the talents. The talents is really where it becomes a fun spec to play because you can change it up quite a bit with marksmanship. First talent we have is Lone Wolf. So passive, increases your damage by 20%, but you can no longer have a pet. Now this is very good since it helps out our mastery, helps out everything that we do. Since we are a marksmanship hunter, most of our damage should be coming from us, not our pet. Therefore, helping this out quite a bit, but maybe not with solo play during questing. It is kind of nice to have a pet to taunt. We also have Steady Focus, a passive. Using Arcane Shot or Multi-Shot 3 times in a row increases your focus regeneration by 20% for 10 seconds. Obviously, you can have this up at all times, getting a lot more focus. We also have True Aim, another passive. Each successful arcane, marked, and aim shot fired at the same target increases the damage those shots deal by 2%, stacking up to 20 times. Limit of 1 target. So if we do have this out, it does keep stacking up quite a bit. It is pretty easy to get stacks. And eventually you get up to 20 stacks, gaining more damage. So, pretty nice. I would only recommend it for long fights, since it takes a little bit to get up to your 20 stacks. But once you hit 20 stacks, you should be able to maintain it pretty easily. Next up, we do have the 30 level talents. Starting off, we do have Explosive Shot, a 30-second cooldown. Fires a slow-moving ammunition directly forward. Activating this ability a second time detonates a shot, dealing up to 103,000 fire damage to all enemies within 8 yards based on the proximity, so the closer it does more damage. Now this is a little bit weird because our old Explosive Shot was very different. And boom. I don't really like this. It feels weird to me. It does quite a bit of damage, but it does feel weird. Next up we do have Black Arrow. It's a 15-second cooldown, costs 40 focus, and as instant cast, fires a black arrow at the target, dealing 81,000 shadow damage over 8 seconds, and summoning a dark minion to taunt for its duration. So this is very nice, especially if we have Lone Wolf active. It does increase our damage. Then have this out to give us something to taunt with. Especially nice for questing. When you kill an enemy, the remaining cooldown of Black Arrow will reset. I still do find this more of a questing aspect, just because you can, the more mobs you kill, obviously, you'll have more Black Arrows going out. And then the last one in the level 30 talents, we do have Trick Shot. It's a passive. Aim shot will also ricochet and hit all vulnerable targets for 30% normal damage. So if we are in AoE phase, this could be very good. Marking all these targets, then hitting aim shot, ricocheting all. Next up, we do have Post Haste, which does improve our disengage, frees me from all movement impairing effects, and also increases my movement speed by 60% for 8 seconds. Very nice speed boost. I do like this, especially in PvP, since it removes you from all movement impairing effects. We also have Far Strider, another passive. Your ability critical strikes have a 10% chance to reset the remaining cooldown of disengage. Now if we do have a bunch of crit, this could be very nice, able to jump around the battlefield quite often. Last but not least, we do have Dash. So passive increases the duration of aspect of the cheetah by 3 seconds. Now this does increase both parts of the aspect of cheetah, so basically remove his speed increased by 90% for 6 seconds instead of 3 seconds, and sheer movement speed increased by 30% for 9 seconds is increased to 12 seconds. Onto the level 60 talents, we do have Careful Aim. Now this is a passive. Aim Shot, Arcane Shot, Mark Shot, and Multi-Shot have a 20% increased critical strike chance against targets above 80% health, and those critical strikes deal an additional 30% damage over 8 seconds. Now, you only get the 30% damage boost on targets that are above 80% health that you do crit off of. They're implementing a lot of stuff like this into a bunch of specs. I don't like it because it only makes it useful for a certain part of a boss. Yeah, I don't find it that interesting. Maybe decent while questing, just to get you some extra damage when you start out pulling creatures, but overall not that impressive. Next up, we do have Heightened Vulnerability. It's a 20-second cooldown. Your next Mark Shot now applies 3 stacks of vulnerability to all marked targets. So, if you did have a bunch of marked targets, you pop that, then you pop Mark Shot of applying basically 3 stacks of marks, increasing your aim shot. This does work very well with Trick Shot because it does increase your aim shot, and your aim shot does ricochet to other targets. Last but not least, in the 60 level talents, we do have Patient Sniper. It's a passive. Gain the patience of a veteran sniper. Increases your maximum focus by 30, and causes your Mark Shot to apply Deadeye instead of vulnerability. Deadeye increases your marked shot and aim shot damage by 150% for 8 seconds. So you no longer have to get 3 stacks of vulnerability, you just get this 1 stack of marked shot and you're good, and you do double the damage of instead of that 3 stack system. Now on 75 talents, we do have Binding Shot. It's a 45-second cooldown. Works similar as the old Binding Shot. Fires a magical projectile, tethering the enemy and any other enemies within 5 yards for 10 seconds, stunning them for 5 seconds if they move more than 5 yards from the arrow. Very nice stun, good CC, especially in PvP. It's amazing. We also have Woven Sting, 1.45 second cast with a 45-second cooldown. A stinging shot that puts a target to sleep, incapacitating them for 30 seconds. Damage will cancel the effect. This is usable while moving. Nice CC since Marksmanship hunters no longer have traps. So if we do need to CC, this is definitely the talent to go. We also have Camouflage, 1 minute cooldown. You blend into the surroundings and gain stealth for 1 minute. While camouflaged, you heal for 2% health every 1 second. So, nice in PvP, especially if you get to break away and need to heal. This is pretty good. But solo play is pretty decent as well. just kind of healing up. Next we do have a Murder of Crows. It costs 30 focus with a 1-minute cooldown. Summon a flock of crows to attack your target over 15 seconds. When the target dies, this ability will be its cooldown will be reset. Now this is only when it dies by this ability. I assume it would be changed to whenever the target dies while this ability is on them, because I don't believe this does that much damage. I do like Barrage better, but it does have a decent useful thing to it, especially if we need a burst phase, more reliable, 15 seconds of damage. Next up, we do have Barrage. Costs 60 focus. It's a challenge spell with a 20-second cooldown. Rapidly fires a spray of shots for 2.9 seconds, dealing 452,000 physical damage to the target on an average of 226,000 physical damage to other enemies in front of you. This is usable while moving. This does a huge load of damage, especially to your main target, but also to AoE. It's quite nice damage. I jumped up to 400k DPS. Very nice. We also have Volley. Does cost 80 focus, really high in the focus cost, with a 6-second cooldown. You can constantly have this up, but launches a volley of shots at the target area, dealing 125,000 physical damage over 6 seconds. I was really excited that they put this back in the game, but right now the damage is just not there. So, and it does have a high focus cost. So overall, I don't think it's worth it. Barrage does a better job. But we also do have Sidewinders as our first level 100 talent. This does replace Arcane Shot and also multi-shot. So just be aware of that. It does have an 11-second recharge with 2 charges. Launches Sidewinders that travel towards the target, weaving back and forth, dealing 80,000 nature damage to each target they hit. They cannot hit the same target twice. Now the main difference is that Aim Shot or Arcane Shot used to generate 5 focus. Sidewinders generate 70 focus. So once we get better at depleting our focus and making sure we have little to no focus, using this ability to help us get back up, it does work very well with Patient Sniper, since you only need 1 stack. You only have to hit Sidewinders once, and you do get almost a guaranteed proc. But moving on, we do have Headshot. Does cost 20 to 100 focus with a 30-second cooldown. A powerful shot which deals up to 515,000 physical damage to the target and up to 257,000 physical damage to enemies within between myself and the target. Now I do like this spell just because instant spell that does a lot of damage with a relatively low cooldown. So it does quite a bit, and if you do have a bunch of mobs added up, this can work into AoE as well. And last but not least, we do have Lock and Load. It's a passive. Your ranged auto attacks have a 10% chance to trigger Lock and Load, causing your next 2 aim shots to cost no focus and be instant. Very nice ability. Helps us put out a bunch of pressure, especially if we do have Patient Sniper and Deadeye. So once we get a proc, that proc it? No. Does have a pretty low chance, but once you get that chance, and if you did have more haste, it would be working a lot better. Maybe no 10%. Oh well, you get the idea. It's two instant aim shots with no cost, which is really nice. Oh, there we go. Boom, boom. Kind of helps out on your focus cost. But moving on to our artifact weapon. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. Just going to say the Legacy of the Windrunners. Now our main ability is Wind Burst. This does cost 20 focus with a 20-second cooldown. It does have a 1.45-second cast. Focuses the power of wind through the bow, dealing 236,000 physical damage to your target and leaving behind a trail of wind that increases your movement speed by 50%. This is a nice ability. Does a decent amount of damage, plus normally you get a little visual effect. It does have a relatively low cooldown, but does kind of play into the fact that you're a marksman hunter, and kind of it does feel right with a wind burst. It does help out your movement speed. Obviously, hunters should be running around anyways. I don't like the fact that against playing these hunters, it'll give them another movement speed, only to the target, but still pretty interesting anyways. But we also have some unique passives as well, such as Legacy of the Windrunners. Your aim shot has a chance to fire 6 extra wind arrows that shoot at your target. So aim shot is going to be our main damage, but it does give you 6 extra wind arrows. Fits into the artifact weapon pretty nicely. Really brings out the wind aspect of it and giving you a nice passive. Maybe not the most interesting passive, but passives are passives. So we do have Bullseye. When your abilities damage a target below 20% health, you gain 3% increased critical strike chance for 6 seconds, stacking up to 30 times. Now, this is very awesome because we no longer have kill shot. This is kind of works instead of that. You do get quite a bit of a 90% crit chance once you get to the 30 stacks. It's relatively easy to keep the stacks up since they do last for 6 seconds, and our longest spell cast is 2 seconds. So, and it's any of the abilities. So even Arcane Shot, which is instant cast, procs this. Now this is a passive that's not yet implemented. I do have it in here, but Mark Shot has a chance to summon a rainment of fallen hunters to rain arrows down upon your foes. Kind of nice. Kind of, since it's not yet implemented, I can't really give a honest opinion about it. Does have almost a cool feel if that happens and when it happens. I mean, it's a passive, so I can't really ask for all that much. It does have a marksmanship feel almost, but I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. Like, it could go either way in my opinion. But overall, a really nice spec. I do like the fact that they've um, made it more of a marksmanship hunter than anything, any other previous expansions. Um, you do feel like a expert marksmanship hunter, um, but it is kind of a interesting feel. Overall, I do like the spec, and I do think it's going to be amazing for raiding, since you don't have to worry about a pet. You don't have to worry about that. It just basically increases your damage through Lone Wolf, and it does give you a variety of ways to play. Some of the talents don't really fit in. Like, I don't like the careful aim talent. Hidden vulnerability is alright. Definitely good for bursting and AoE, but it does kind of work with like trick shot and stuff like that. So some of these do synergize well, but maybe not more than most other specs. It does look like it's a slow spec, but you're a marksmanship hunter. You're supposed to be doing like big damage, like big hits. So I'm perfectly fine with that. As a relatively slow spec, just with cast times and all that. So it's not the most fast-paced, but a very interesting one though to play. Boom, boom. Nice when you do get some procs of lock and load. But anyways, if we did like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out more than you think. We definitely have a lot more specs to come, and getting really hype over all this Legion date announcement, especially since I'm in alpha. It does give me a chance to give you guys some very some good content. If we do have any questions about marksmanship hunters or anything else, any specs that you may want me to do next, please leave them in the comment box below. Thank you very much once again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.